Hi, I'm Kent Sterling, and this is Sports Media 101. Every week, more lessons about how to be really good in media, how to get jobs in media, what you need to succeed in media, what you need to have fun doing it. We talk about it every week. Last week, we talked about former athletes and former coaches and why they tend to be more successful. And it's not just about what they know and who they know. It's about how they perform and how they prepare. This week, we're going to talk about the 4 characteristics of a highly successful radio show or podcast, and we're going to talk about what you need to do in order to be able to have a really successful radio show, podcast, TV offering, whatever it is. All right, here are the 4 characteristics of a great radio show. And this isn't just me. Steve Reynolds, who's a terrific radio consultant, these are kind of his tenets. And so I'm borrowing those, but I've found them to be exceptionally successful. And he's exactly right. So while these rules are from Steve Reynolds, and I fully credit him for this, you need to take them to the bank, because you will. Number 1, you've got to be authentic. And that means you need to behave, okay? Not perform, behave. Just be the best version of you that you can be. Don't be a broadcaster. Be a human being. Be somebody that the audience can trust, because with podcasting, as with radio, it's a one-on-one medium. Sure, you're alone sitting at a microphone, you're talking into that microphone, and you can't see the people, generally, that you're communicating with. You don't know who's listening in their car or in their home or on the train or wherever they are. You have no idea who they are, where they are. They're there. And what they need from you is they need a friend as much as anything else. They need a friend who's going to communicate with them and who they can trust. And the best way to do that is to behave with authenticity, and that means just be yourself. Number 2, you got to be relevant. If you have a sports podcast or if you have a sports talk radio show and you are talking about something other than sports, you are not delivering upon the promise of that show and of the portal in which you communicate. All right, if you're on a sports talk radio show and you're talking about, I don't know, police tactics, at that point, the audience is no longer with you because they came to the radio station expecting that, or podcast, expecting that they're going to hear about sports. You've got to be relevant, because here's the rule. A lot of things break down to 80-20. All right, 80% of the people are listening or watching because of the what. That's the relevance. 20% are listening or watching because of the who. The key to being successful is taking that 80% and turning it into the 20%. You want the what listeners to become the who listeners, but to get the what listeners to convert to being who listeners, you got to deliver upon the what. So relevance is really important. Fun is the 3rd characteristic. You have got to have fun. If you're not having fun, the audience is not going to have fun. The audience can feel when you're having a good time, and the audience can feel when you're bored. Really, really good radio hosts and podcast hosts never get bored. They just have a great time. They have no tolerance for boredom, so they don't get bored. They do what they do because it's fun for them. Those are the great successes in that business. You need to have fun. The 4th thing is really kind of the tough thing, and that's innovation. You've got to innovate. Innovation is absolutely crucial because it sort of changes the mold. It surprises audiences within the framework of the show. If you can, within the framework of the show, do something new and unexpected, that is a great place to start a show. That is a great place to be. If you can do that, that's heavy hitting. All right. Singles hit, we'll put it in terms of baseball. Singles hitters, they can be authentic. Doubles hitters are authentic while they're being relevant. Triples hitters, gap hitters, they can be authentic, relevant, and have fun. But the guys, chicks dig the long ball, right? And the guys or girls who can be innovative while having fun and being relevant and being authentic. Wow. There you got, that's a 4-tool media superstar right there. The fifth thing, this is something different. And what I'm talking about right now, I'm talking about the first 4 things are straight from the handbook of Steve Reynolds, who's a terrific media consultant, great radio consultant. If you've had a chance to work with Steve Reynolds, you've heard what I'm talking about, maybe in a different form, but the structure of what I'm saying, you've absolutely heard before. Steve Reynolds is just brilliant. And the way he breaks down, I know he does primarily music stations, but the work that he does with talk performers, talk hosts, is really, really good. And his methodology of learning how to do talk is really, really key to being successful. If you get to study with Steve Reynolds, you absolutely do it. Second best, maybe me, because I love Steve Reynolds, and I'll tell you just what Steve Reynolds always told me, because it is just brilliant. This last piece of counsel comes from a different source. It comes from Mick Napier. Mick Napier runs the Annoyance Theater in Chicago, Illinois. It is a beautiful place where the very best of Chicago's improvisers congregate to perform, have a great time, because that's what Mick's all about. And when I was doing improvisation in Chicago at the Annoyance in classes, and Mick was also my director at Second City when I was in the training center and in the children's theater, we would audition for Second City periodically. And I said, well, what do you do in these auditions? How do you get, the director's eyes so you get work? And he said, I'll tell you exactly what to do. Do something. Do anything. Just do. Don't go up on stage and play it safe. We see that all day long. We don't want to see any more of that. We don't want to see somebody like toning down their performance. Get on stage and do something. As you do radio, as you do a podcast, do something. Take a chance. If you've got a voice in your head that says, hey, here's something I should do, that is exactly what you should do in that moment. Trust your instinct. Trust who you are. Trust your audience to come along with you. If you do something silly, I'll give you an example. This past week, doing Inside Indiana Sports Now, which I do every weekday afternoon, I was in Bloomington, so I went to Assembly Hall. Mike Woodson, the previous week, when Indiana beat Wisconsin, in fact, it was a week ago today that they beat Wisconsin, he said that he spent a lot of time in practice yelling at the players, and seemingly they responded well to the yelling. So I did my video, but at the end of the video, I screamed at Assembly Hall trying to convey messages to them. So I screamed at the basketball players. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing, but I thought, you know what? What the hell? People are either going to come along with me or they're not. They're either going to think this is somehow entertaining or they're not. But I'm not going to double guess myself, second guess myself. I'm all in. And by being all in, I did this thing. So traffic was up, and I don't care about the amount of traffic. Traffic really doesn't do anything for me. I like the validation that comes from feeling like I performed well and people giving me some affirmation in the comments and in the likes. You see all of that in YouTube, which is a great point of differentiation between YouTube and radio. Radio, you get really no affirmation whatsoever unless it's on social media and you see on Twitter or on a YouTube comments. If you happen to do your radio show also on YouTube, on the station's YouTube channel, sometimes you get a little bit of feedback. But in a lot of cases, the radio show just exists on its own. You open the microphone, you talk, you hope that people are listening and that people respond well to it. But you know what? That's not the affirmation that you get day after day after day because it's just not there. The affirmation is from doing a really good performance, being creative, having fun, being authentic. And here's another thing. Whatever you do, do it as much as you can. Whether it's into an iPhone as part of the YouTube channel offering or into a microphone and through GarageBand or Adobe Audition and into Spotify or whatever audio portal you use to convey your message, your show. You know what? Be yourself. Be the best that you can be. Have a great time. Do something. Enjoy it. And trust that that's got to be enough. Because if it isn't enough, then you're probably in the wrong business. So again, to recap, authenticity, crucial. Relevance, key. Fun, boy, that's a good thing. Innovative, that's kind of a tough one. That's a tough one to dot the I's and cross the T's. Trust yourselves in your performance. And fifth, do something. Do anything. Trust that voice in your head that it's going to lead you someplace fun, and don't deny your own initiation. Don't say no to yourself. Have fun. That's all you can do. We'll talk to you next week. I can't wait. This is really kind of fun for me. This exercise is a muscle. I don't exercise very often, but you've got to enjoy what you're doing, and I enjoy this. I'll see you Monday. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow at the end of the IU Michigan State game. Hopefully we're talking about a Hoosier win. Breakfast with Kent, Monday morning. And my radio show starts on WGCL in Bloomington this Monday morning at 7 o'clock. I can't wait. We're going to have all kinds of fun because that's just what we do.